Hi, I'm Samir Areff. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for SAP out of Dubai for what we call the Middle East South. And it's a pleasure to be here. I think GITEX for us in 2019 is all about encapsulating what is the city of possibilities here in Dubai, and what better city to showcase what we are seeing out there in the market, what we are hearing from our customers, and more importantly, where do we see technology evolving. I think at the very headline of what we are doing at SAP is trying to encapsulate how companies are managing two types of data that we see evolving in this world. And that type of data is all about X data, in terms of how we can better understand why people are doing things, understanding the soft things like behaviors, like emotions, like sentiments, and understanding how that feeds back into an enterprise where we use things that are encapsulated in an O data world. All of the hard what. How many things do I have in my inventory? How many people do I pay? How many bills do I need to process? And so marrying X data and O data is about what will differentiate companies moving forward. How can they in real time not only have visibility looking back in their business, but have the platforms to actually look forward and predict. But here's the key thing. It's about doing it at warp speed and in exponential rates around how customers are feeling. And so understanding the interplay between X data and O data is how we see companies truly differentiating and truly winning out there in the market tomorrow and in the future.
So this is very nice on a human transformation type of a scale. But let's talk about the machine data. I mean, if I am a manufacturing company, or let's say I am a road and transport company, or a fleet management, does this X and O model work for inanimate objects like machines and other things?
Absolutely. So when we look at O data, we are looking broadly at how information passes through an enterprise. What we have embedded in our technology, in the capabilities and applications, is things like machine learning and artificial intelligence. So our focus now is to take organizations who move from paper onto automated processes, but now to move those automated processes to become fully autonomous. And that is the real power of what machine learning, AI, and a number of the new emerging technologies are doing. How can we make sure that the solutions can self-run in an automated fashion, can learn from what they are doing and seeing and aggregating, and being able to do it even better? And we have some amazing customers who are doing that.
I think you're jumping forward a lot, because let's take a legacy platform as an ERP, right? So that's capturing both the real-time data as well as the contextual. Mm-hmm. So how does a customer suddenly jump to an AI or a machine learning enabled environment when they are sitting with a legacy, or let's say a platform which is transforming but not as extensively transformed as one which is AI enabled? Yeah. What's the roadmap for them? Because what you're talking about is a very advanced type of a situation where it's autonomous, it's alive, it's taking decisions intelligently. But let's talk about the base today. When you have a very large installed base, what's the first step that the end customers are going to be taking?
So look, I think for us at SAP, it's always started and ended with a business process. Every company today has a business process they need to run. Those processes will ultimately either generate new revenue or take cost out of a business. So what we are seeing is a lot of entities are bridging that digital divide by building out a process that uses applications today that they don't need to worry about the sophistication of the technology behind. So if I want to run a finance process, if I want to run an HR process, I'm dealing with millennial employees, millennial customers, and millennial partners, and I need to ensure that my solutions are simple and intuitive to use, while at the same time maximizing gain for me. So, for us, the business process drives the technology. The technology is there in the back that shouldn't have an impact on how we drive our businesses. The simplicity and the beauty of that is the end game. And this is where we see the industry moving, to take away the geek speak and keep the conversation with the business.
So what I'm asking is whether today your installed base is able to intuitively move to a more intelligent level of using the data with analytics, or is it a challenge for them? Are there some sort of obstacles for them to move to the next level?
So the amazing thing is we're seeing two types of trends. When we look at small and medium enterprises, they are looking to these capabilities to simplify their landscape. Before, digital transformations or any purchase of technology or applications seemed complex, seemed hard, and required a lot of change management. Today it's about plug and play. So how can I generate processes and use solutions that can allow me to run my business smoothly and simply? So there is capabilities that we are building in the cloud that are fit for purpose for small and medium enterprises to be future titans tomorrow without complexity. On the large end of town, we've seen a massive shift into adopting cloud. And this is a key game changer, even here in the Middle East, even in the UAE, and more specifically in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where companies have seen the value of simplifying their technology stack, of moving into the cloud and removing non-value adding processes out of their business. So we're seeing it both at the top end of town, in the smaller end of town, and utilizing thinner, smaller applications that are driving the basic requirements in order to manage their businesses.
Considering all these logical steps forward, what are the use cases that typically come out? I mean, are there certain vertical markets which get favored? Are there certain types of, like for example, is it a customer experience? Is it a back-end dashboard? What are the logical use cases that are getting facilitated by this facilitation that you're doing?
Yeah. So if we look at the industries at large, we're seeing a huge transformation in the back office in traditional industries in the Middle East, like oil and gas, chemicals. Looking at the utility players, they are looking to simplify their back office. They are looking to automate enough processes to self-regulate. And so you see a lot of change coming out of the office of the CFO. How can he better manage liquidity? How can he better manage cash? And how can he give the business the right information to make profitable decisions? And so you see a lot of engagement from the office of the CFO to drive information-related change. Because these are the things that are giving companies the agility to make the right investment bets and to use cash in the most appropriate way. On the other end of town, we are seeing a lot of banks, a lot of telcos, a lot of utility companies, and a lot of retailers redefine their customer experience. Customers no longer look at price and product as the only reason why they stay loyal. They're also looking at the overall experience and the overall meaning. So you're seeing a lot of investment in trying to understand what is the meaning behind a purchase, what is the meaning behind a relationship, and more importantly, what is the meaning behind what our product can provide. And so we're seeing a lot of investments in redefining the experience and filling an experience gap to what customers want from our brands versus what we are delivering. And I see these decisions happening more in the framework of CEOs driving the change of what that customer experience is, while CFOs driving a lot of the technology change related to managing the business in a more agile and profitable manner.
So what's the link now? I mean, I understand fully how a CEO might feel in control, right, of these changes. But how do they actually get it done? Is it still through the CIO, or do they actually feel more comfortable explaining the transformation to the business heads? And is there a logical link that way rather than the technology head?
I think we've seen an evolution in the Middle East where traditionally IT was left in the domain of the CIO or the IT manager. I think we're seeing that custodianship change into more of an elevated relationship between business owning the value capture, business owning the return on investment, and business owning the speed at which technology is deployed. our CIOs are being given more opportunity to optimize their cost base, rationalize their infrastructure, and more importantly, position themselves and their teams to deploy services that are actually value creating. And so you're seeing a big shift. What we are doing quite a bit as SAP is utilizing design thinking as a mechanism to ideate and then bridge the gap between rapidly prototyping proof of concepts with CIOs and then ultimately delivering that to the business to make the decision and own the relationship in terms of what that benefit will be for the business. So it's an exciting time.
So, I mean, it looks like there's a lot of dialogue going on inside organizations which have implemented SAP. Let's go to some of the major large-scale projects and rollouts are happening in the region. We are seeing a lot of interest in the autonomous and the connected car. We are seeing a lot of interest in the large-scale events like the World Cup football, as well as we have our annual Hajj and the pilgrimages. We have the Expo 2020. How does this sort of an approach to a business or an environment work with you?
Yeah, so it's been pretty exciting for us. You mentioned the UAE and Saudi Arabia and a couple of your examples, and I'll just give you a taste of what we're doing over there. Within the UAE with Expo 2020, we are a proud partner of Expo. We've been delivering quite a few capabilities to help manage the back end of the Expo experience, so to manage the finances, to manage the real estate, to manage the entire business process related to delivering a great show. In addition to that, we spent a lot of time with Expo to help personalize the experience to the segment of one. So there's been a number of things related to the customer experience in terms of how that relationship will be managed and governed for the millions of people who will be descending upon Dubai in little over a year. But I think a great X-Factor example of how we are partnering and co-innovating with Expo using the latest technology is around what we call a platform for the people of determination. So together with Expo and a number of heroes who work within Expo, people of determination, we are currently prototyping and developing applications that will make the experience for people of determination a better one at Expo during the event. So how can we use applications to make it a better and more fulfilling experience with people who have certain issues around sight, around managing certain disabilities that they may have, and utilizing their feedback within the Expo setting and providing a more pleasurable experience for all those who visit. So that's an exciting mechanism. We're utilizing some of our new cool technologies that we've brought into SAP to get real-time views of participants, feed that back into the OData world to make better decisions of where we schedule people and where we move things. And that is essentially what we're doing in Saudi Arabia with the Ministry of Hajj as well.
Just to stick to the Expo 2020, are you saying it's actual, you are looking at each visitor as having a certain profile of information and managing that information to give them a better experience?
Exactly.
So let's say how they come in, when they come in, where they have parked the car, on the mobile and things like that. Is that sort of metadata?
It goes to an amazing place. It's what type of individual, what times of day would they like to go, what are their interests, how can I tell them where to buy their favorite coffee, where to move along the experience real time based on what they're doing and seeing, as opposed to just giving them flat information beforehand and giving them the choice, but give them real options while they are experiencing it live. And that goes beyond just able-bodied individuals, but all of those who are impaired, all of those who would also seek an equal opportunity to enjoy Expo.
Be able to facilitate giving that information. So
exactly.
You actually find ways to get it out.
Exactly.
Okay, and what about the Qatar World Cup and things like that? That's a very prime example of a lot of dynamic information coming in, a lot of consumer interest in consuming that information.
So there are a number of things we're doing with a number of entities that run similar events such as Qatar 2020. I think sports and entertainment as a whole has become a big focus of SAP. We're doing a number of things across the globe in various sporting codes and primarily focused on three things. How do we keep our fan base engaged, to keep them interested? How do we ensure we maximize the in-sporting experience at the actual event? And how do we make it pleasant for them to come in and out without necessarily endangering anybody from a health and safety perspective? What we are doing with a number of sporting institutions is about building a repository of what is the ideal fan and how can we make sure that that fan stays with us, not through the lifetime of the game, not through the lifetime of the season, but through their lifetime and an intergenerational lifetime, to create stickiness related to what the purpose and the meaning of that sporting code is, or that team, or that nation. And so there are a number of exciting things we're doing on the sporting front. And it's pretty interesting to see how the dynamic has changed around that.
In Saudi Arabia, what is your interest over there?
So as you can see in Saudi Arabia, we're seeing an exponential and explosive change in terms of the dynamic of what an experience is. There's been a recent launch of tourism in the country. There are fantastic examples of what is going on to really showcase the very best of what Saudi Arabia has to offer. Most
so
people have.
With Saudi Arabia than UAE. Is that how you look at it?
No, not at all. As someone who's a custodian of the SAP brand across the region, I think we're equally excited of all the opportunities in our local market. The Hajj is the epicenter of what it means to have something that is meaningful to every participant, many people who've saved a lifetime to be there, and many people who are there to ensure that every single pilgrim has the best and most meaningful experience. And so together with the Ministry of Hajj, we finished a number of initiatives related to how to better manage crowds, how to better manage the experience, to take away anxiety from a crowd and to proactively predict through using some of our capabilities like IoT solutions from SAP to understand the way people are moving, to understand movement control is one way to ensure that we can keep away from any of the stampedes that have plagued the Hajj before.
Where does the solution sit? Does it sit in a control center or is it a distributed type of a software architecture? Where would you ideally position yourself and with which solution stack are you supposed to be positioned for any of these use cases?
So we have what we call the SAP Cloud Platform. This is the platform on which all innovation is built using SAP technology. Now, building the capability is one thing, but making it accessible to the people who need it at the right time, whether it's a security official, whether it's a crowd control marshal, whether it's the minister himself, we are rendering the capability, the data, the insight, and more importantly, the information to decide to a number of people at the point of need. And so these solutions are available in big national operating centers and theaters to make macro decisions and get a holistic view of all pilgrims. But more importantly, it's having that information at the point of speed and need to people who will make the decisions and the difference real time. And those seconds are the meaningful seconds between chaos and order, and probably the vital seconds between life and death in unfortunate situations.
Because let's say a national infrastructure, a critical national infrastructure may need a rapid response time. Mm-hmm. Cloud is not necessarily the fastest to respond on an on-site type of a thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to get a feel of when you're partnering in such an environment, you need to be really in a sort of hybrid or a private type of a cloud environment rather than a public cloud. Am I saying correctly on this?
No, absolutely. I think what you find is that a lot of entities and institutions would require certain data to be in-house, on-premise. That capability is not going to go away in a lot of places. However, there are real-time connectivity requirements to refresh data at the speed of action, at the speed of thought. And so the capabilities of how we get that information to the right place through the right applications can sometimes be in a public cloud, more often in serious situations where data protection is at a premium, we also work in private clouds. So the capabilities are managed within the parameters that a lot of our customers govern.
So coming back to the Hajj, you said a very interesting thing. We want to make sure that it's a pleasurable experience, right? I mean, in terms of the movement and time to finish, and so many conveniences are required over there. How is that actually done?
So what we do from an SAP perspective is we've been working with the Ministry of Hajj in looking at how people move, understanding what the parameters are in terms of all the rituals related to Hajj, and then understanding what that flow is like. So we have a series of heat maps to get a real-time view of what concentration looks like. We also have a real-time view through using IoT in certain senses to understand what the weather impact could be. So if the temperatures go up by 1 or 2 degrees, what impact would that be in terms of dehydration for a lot of pilgrims? How would we make sure that the water fillers and everybody who are giving a respite to people are in place at the right moments, at the right times, to the right volumes? These are all of the use cases that we're working on to provide a holistic experience. Moving on to that is how we can segment to the power of the elderly pilgrim versus the young pilgrim, the child pilgrim versus the impaired pilgrim. And so the whole purpose of what we are trying to do is to create an equal experience for everybody to meet a meaningful requirement that they have basically spent their lives sacrificing to get there.
So tell me, SAP of course doesn't go to market on its own, right? I mean, these sort of projects are quite large and need a lot of moving parts and players. The channel is fully enabled to follow this vision?
Yeah, so we work with a number of partners. There are a number of partners who co-innovate with us. You're welcome to join us at our stand as well to have a look at what young, small upstarts are co-innovating on our platform where we go to market together. There are a number of partners who sell directly our solutions and capabilities that are already packaged.
My only question is this advanced vision, this capability that you are describing, is there a phase lag between you and the vendors to meet this sort of excellence level, or are they already enabled to reach this?
So the amazing thing is we are building these use cases and they are going live now. A lot of what we've done with the Ministry of Hajj is live, and a lot of what we've done with entities and organizations here in the UAE have already gone live. The gap has been minimized by the simplicity in which we are building our platform framework and tools to build and rapidly scale quickly. What we require as well is to ensure that there's enough talent in the market to both become SAP custodians at the customer site, at places that make the difference in terms of how the technology is consumed. And there we are working with a number of universities, a number of ministries to build young talent and feed them into the SAP ecosystem to ensure that solutions are consumed.
The channel partner as such who have been with SAP for some time, who have the expertise, they are able to make this transition to the next level.
Yeah, so we are spending a lot of time with our partners, just as we have gone through a massive transformation internally in taking our capabilities within on-prem. We've also spent, over $70 billion in acquiring new technology, new companies, and in R&D. And so it's become our responsibility to take our partners with us to create new channels, but also to ensure that our current channels within the market are growing the requisite skills internally and are be able to take the message forward to the customers. This is something we track quite meticulously. We are working with a number of our partners, and if I look at where we've come through in the last decade, and I've been fortunate to be here with SAP in our first day as SAP, we've come a long way to onboard the right talent, the right partners, and the right capabilities to make our promise real and to better realize our vision.